So we're getting started on the audio. iTunes is now available, so make sure you go ahead and lock that in. Getting my screen ready for the visuals. Present mode. Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Low Key Facts Podcast. It ain't exclusive if it ain't an Emlyn exclusive. It's your boy BQ, and welcome to the show. I am accompanied on the other end of the table by a very, very special friend. I met this individual, and it's funny because we talked off camera how there's many different ways how this individual is connected to other people, family members to be exact. And I initially met him at the Anza Cupertino Community College when I was going to school before Emlyn was even an idea. It was just a note on a piece of paper. And he was a part of the academic system at De Anza as a financial advisor at the time, I believe. And we just connected very, very deeply when I had this. At the time I met you was when I dropped out of school and I tried to put Emlyn on the map by doing a vendor stand at the campus, and I would do it Tuesday through Thursday, and I was making pretty decent money Tuesday, Thursday as a vendor there, believe it or not. And, you know, I always had teachers that I was being, taught from, and they would kind of, give me their perspectives about entrepreneurship and the idea of me dropping out of school. And sometimes it wasn't the most positive. Sometimes it was very reinforcing. But my experience with you was definitely, like, I will never forget it because you were very positive about the whole conversation of everything I was doing. And I'll never forget about it. So it's an honor and it's a privilege to have you here. Mr. Mctate is how he goes by on the IG.
Yes, indeed.
I'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourself for the people that don't know who you are, man. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, my name is Mctate Stroman II. That's Mctate Stroman II. Go by Mctate. Yes, I met BQ on the campus of Anza College. Was financial aid specialist at the time. And yeah, I'm all about inspiring individuals and talking about our passions. And I still got that hat that you had there. That was a nice,
got that hat?
Yeah, the nice Rams hat. Yes, with Eric Dickerson. So
Eric
definitely.
Dickerson, that was a legend.
Yeah.
And that brand, Heisman Legends from LA, shout out to them. They're the ones that provided that design right there.
Word.
And yeah, man, thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Out of your busy schedule, I know you have a very occupied day in front of you today. So thank you for taking the time to come down. But yeah, man. Well, first, I messed up on your name. I feel bad.
It's all good.
There's actual origins behind that, so I respect that 100%. So yeah, man, how you feeling? How's everything going?
Man, everything is going well. Feeling good, man.
Mm-hmm.
Was a little under the weather, but I got
you got your hydration.
Yeah,
maybe.
I got my hydration. Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. It's first Thursday is tonight.
There you go.
We're going into our 11th year at De Anza College UFRAT Museum.
11 years.
Yeah, 11 years,
It's a long
man.
time.
Long time. Been seeing a lot of San Jose artists come through. And I host an open mic because, one, it brings people to the museum.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know we even have a museum on campus.
Yeah.
The UFRAT Museum. Also, it allows young artists to have a platform. This first Thursday is a lot of young artists in San Jose's first time on the mic. So watching them develop has been awesome.
And even just like trying, because sometimes that might be their first platform.
Yes.
To begin with.
Yes. Period. A lot of times it's like, this is the first time I wrote something. I want to share it. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it, and being supportive of that, and also being in college, so much academic education is going on. And sometimes you have those side notes that you're taking and you're learning a lot about life, and an open mic allows you to express that. It doesn't have to be in a MLA format or anything like that. Just give it to us straight.
Yep.
If you want to do it poetically, if you want to do it in a hip hop verse, if you want to do it as a stand up, if you got a guitar with you, share it.
What was probably one of the most craziest experiences you had, like with someone's delivery?
Oh, one of the craziest experiences, man. So this young man, and we'll put his name up later. He was open. He asked to turn down the lights and stuff like that, and I appreciated that. He wanted to get in
his zone.
In his zone, and I love when artists do that, and he really put his soul out there, you know. And a year later, he had committed suicide.
Wow.
So knowing that he, you know, he was very, very open at that moment, you know, and I appreciated it in the moment, and to feel like, man, you know, having that opportunity and that platform for him to express himself and feel heard.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
So
that's crazy. That's
what I
jaw
would say.
dropping. That's like, I wouldn't even know how to react to that. Like, knowing if I was there,
right,
seeing the outcome later, man, that's unfortunate. Like, what was the art or the delivery? Like, what exactly was he speaking of?
He was doing spoken word. Spoken word. It was an introspective piece.
And what do you define? How do you define introspective? I don't even
like.
know.
Okay, so an introspective piece is usually a piece where you're self-discovery, you know, and you're expressing your self-discovery, be it your own personal philosophy on life, and you want to share that, you know, and that's what it was. That's what he was sharing was a piece that, you know, talking about his stance on life, where he was, how he felt about the moment, and being creative. How he felt about being creative. And like I said, when he asked to turn the lights down for us to, he sat on the ground, and for us to kind of just all draw in, you know, and that was always dope, you know. I love doing First Thursdays at a museum because, you know, it brings the art to life.
Yeah, it does.
You know,
for sure.
And the installations change every quarter. So we're in a different space, you know.
Okay.
Me and the director, Diana Argabright, we always go over, you know, how are we going to set the stage this go round, you know, because the installations have changed. We're going to do it like this. So it's always exciting. Like this new installation, I haven't even seen it yet. So I'm looking forward to it tonight, just to be a part of that art, you know, and that's inspiring and that moves me. I remember Jay-Z some years ago did a performance at a museum, and I can't remember if we had already started First Thursday at the time, but it was so inspirational. Yeah. Like, oh yeah.
It kind of gave you reassurance, like, oh, you know what, we definitely in the right. We in the right
we're thinking right. Yeah.
I love that.
So yeah, it's that type of stuff. Then I had this other artist, Lena, come in, was helping her out with financial aid. Very quiet, soft-spoken, you know, and we ended up having a conversation and talking about inspiration and art, and found out that she was a singer. And she blew me away when she came to First Thursday. Dope voice. I was like, wow.
Dang.
Soft-spoken, but, you know, when you get on the mic, and that's the other thing. You know, I like to really connect with artists and young people. I want them to see beyond, you know, my gray hairs, and see that, you know, I'm creative just like you. You know, and I get it. You know, and that's why I like having something at an educational institution that goes beyond that. You know, we outside the box. You know, and it's great. It's great to watch people, because it's that outside the box you that makes education what it needs to be. You know, it's when you bring yourself to the institution that you can really get an education, not just indoctrination and just get these degrees, but you're really learning something.
I think that's a really interesting point of view when it comes to education, because a lot of people have, you know, negative perceptions towards education because they just feel like, how you said, it's just a piece of paper.
Right.
It enables them to get a job they probably wouldn't even like. That's just based on, you know, dialogue I've heard. Right.
No, definitely. And I'm hearing it too.
But your perspective is interesting because you want to integrate their passion in themselves, and that allows them to connect to the education in a different way.
Right.
Because I believe that too, because I think when I was going to De Anza, I was a very bad academic achiever at high school. You know, at that time, I didn't think too much about education. I just knew I had to get it done.
Word.
And I was playing football, and that was the entry level for me to go to De Anza. I really had no reason to be at De Anza aside from the fact that I wanted to play football.
Got you.
So when I went in, then I started getting introduced to the programs like Puente program, SSRS, and, you know, meeting some individual professors that had some really great, they just have great energy. You know, some of the people really care about what they do.
Yeah, they do.
Those people deserve higher pay. Those people deserve everything, because some of the students that maybe didn't graduate, I was one of the ones that didn't graduate. Some people did graduate that still keep that connection with those professors because they've impacted their lives that much. You know, shout out to Lydia Hearn. Shout out to Jen Myers. Shout out to Jorge, all the people in Puente, SSRS. Like, there was a lot of people at the Anza that are unforgettable, and I think that's important, you know, because if you're able to kind of integrate their passions in the education in a certain way, like how you did through spoken word. Because are you the one managing this, or are other people involved?
I am.
So are you the one that has to get all the approvals and basically the site permission this time to that time? Are you the one that does all that?
Well, I do. It's half and half. So Diana Argerbright, who runs the UFRAP Museum, other than that, I bought my own equipment, so I don't have to worry about anything else. It's going to happen, you know. So, yeah, it's just her and I. We make it happen, you know. And I learned that, you know. I'm used to doing it just like you. Yeah. If you have to be the sole individual doing it all, wearing all the hats, then the show must go on. It must go on. I'm sorry, I ain't got time for that. I agree. I don't. Period. You know, and that's how I feel, you know. And it's interesting. This summer, like for me, like I say, I'm a creative. Like, there is not a mic that I'm afraid of, period, point blank. I've been doing this for 25 years. There hasn't been a year in that 25 years that went by that I hadn't touched a mic or a stage. Say it, man. You know, so this summer I went to New York, you know, and they have the New Yorican Poets Cafe. And that was open since 1974. Sheesh. And so the family and
50 years.
Yeah, man.
Almost 50 years.
Long time. We touched down. Everybody was tired. And I was like, yo, I have to go. And so I made sure I put up a video. And that was me, just going out to the New Yorican. And I they had a slam. And went up and made it to the finals. Like, dude, let's go. Let's make this happen.
And this is a competition for spoken word? Or?
Yeah. Okay. So slams, it's typically an annual, or each venue will have their own slams. Like San Jose has has their own poetry slams that they have. So it's dope. It allows people to learn about spoken word and poetry. I think spoken word is a great form of art to express for people that don't feel confident enough to rap or to do, you know, performing arts, or do something that's more like you got to be skilled, or you have to have that, you know, you got to got that juice in you where you could actually do it, you know. Because for me, it's like, I'm a big fan of hip hop. Like, as you can see, all the CDs behind me, like, these are all CDs I listened to growing up. These are the actual CDs. Like, I just took out the art. I put them all up into a collage. So I'm a big fan of hip hop. I'm a big fan of the culture, but I had never had the balls to go rap, you know. Like, I just told myself, I was like, I'm not gonna be a rapper, you know. But if I had to, like the persona, I could kill it, you know. Well, see, you know, so funny. It's like I went the opposite route. So I was in high school, all hip hop out, straight up and down. You know, my mom and I, we had a PR company, and we had
family business.
Family business.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, family business. We had Ice-T, Donald
legend.
D. We had we did some work with DJ Quick. So so a lot of times with the record companies, if they weren't pushing those artists, we came in as a PR company, you know, and we did it. You know, Action Speaks was the name of the company. Wow. And so, we had After 7 and all those other things. So all the hip hop, my mom would always come to me because I was the young person at the time. Yeah. When I had my first son, Christopher, who you met, you know, I was 20 years old. So I knew the business. And for me, my sensibility as a father and a parent, I didn't find that there was a lot of space and room in hip hop for me to be a good father. So I had to find a new way of looking at my passion. Because one thing, a passion does not, to me, I don't feel like they really die. And if you don't really feed your passion, then you're gonna have a miserable life, because you're gonna be like, oh, I could have, I would have, because you know it inside you. You'll watch other people and be like, I could have did that better. You know, so spoken word. And I went to the World Stage, was a place in Leimert Park in Los Angeles, first place I went to, and start doing it. And I was originally doing my hip hop verses.
Yeah.
You know, and I was scared that one of them old cats was gonna jump up like,
Yeah,
you're
like,
just
hey,
rapping slow.
Yeah.
You know, so
I see what you're saying.
you know, so I take that same sensibility because as a spoken word artist, I'm definitely a part of the hip hop community. So I talk about hip hop, but from a spoken word standpoint, to me, spoken word is more like a bigger brother of hip hop.
It's all family. Like,
It's all family.
because I feel like when I emphasize on the culture too, like the culture is an umbrella, and everything under that umbrella would be like sports, would be fashion, would be hip hop, would be entrepreneurship, would be cannabis, would be, you know, there's all different things. When I see that, I'm like, oh, that's hip hop. You know,
Right.
like when in front of hip hop, I feel like the NBA would be in that predicament because you see like brands like Kevin Durant, James Harden, that they're known everywhere. You know, and that's just how, you know, that's a separate conversation, but that's all I was saying, like how impactful the culture is and how spoken word is one of those good platforms where people can break in, you know, the first step, or like, even transition, like how you said, from hip hop versus to actual spoken word.
Thank you. That's like saying a rapper isn't a poet.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
man.
man.
No, that's a mistake. Anyone that thinks that they're ignorant. I mean, Tupac was a poet. One of the best poets ever in history. A lot of the stuff he spoke about was genuine. Some of it was like raw. It was too gangster for some people,
right?
You know, and when people don't understand that too. You know, just this will be the last topic before we actually get into the interlude. But when people reference to gangster shit, they think of it as like a form of like aggression that they're trying to apply to society. Like they think that they're trying to like put people in fear, but in reality, I'm like, that's just the reality of what they come from.
Right.
It's something that they actually deal with and what they do, you know, actually experience. And some people that don't resonate with that, it's not their fault. You just didn't experience it, so you don't know. But it doesn't mean what they said is fabricated. It's not like the movies and shit.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But yeah, man, it goes deep. But
it does.
So I want to slow down a little bit for the audience because a lot of people are probably wondering, like, you know, who's this guy sitting across from the table right now? They want to know. So I want to get a chance to kind of like, you know, understand a little bit about how you got into. Obviously, we know you got into spoken word and your origins from SoCal, and you were born in Mountain View, Silicon Valley, and but you also had, you know, your occupation that allowed you to elevate your brand and everything else you're doing. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing and all that.
Okay. So like I said, born in Mountain View, raised in Pasadena, Dina, much love. Dina love to all my cats. Yep. You know, that's Pasadena, Altadena. Yep. Actually, I was raised in Altadena, which you got to Pasadena to get to Altadena. And so growing up, man, hip hop came through. Before we moved to Pasadena, we lived in South Central. And so my sensibility when it comes to gangsters and thugs and that whole mentality is a growth. Have options. I had options. Like I said, I grew up in it in the 80s, you know, when crack cocaine hit, you know, growing up in South Central, watching my cousins get killed. You know, 3 of my cousins, they all got shot. 2 of them got killed, and 1 is in a wheelchair. You know, seeing fiends, you know, 2nd grade, watching adults, you know, watching a lady with her bare hands, you know, break through a glass of her sister's house, and kids outside were just watching, you know. Having that, moving to Pasadena, Altadena, having an opportunity, you know, and taking that. But I remember being in South Central and Rapper's Delight came out. And I swear to you, man, like, this was the first time it came out. We're talking the 80s, early 80s. So I got into B-boy. I got into breaking, you know, so doing that. And then taking a trip to New York with my family. When I was 13, I found Rakim. It was 86, 85, 86. And that just came out. And mind you, the airwaves was totally different than they are today.
Oh, for
so
sure.
What I had taped and brought to California, they weren't hearing for a whole nother year. And that clicked in me like, wow, now that's how you rap. Like, you know, so I went from being a B-boy to a rapper. Now, mind you, I was in elementary, but it was real to me.
Yeah.
Like I'm nice.
Yeah.
You know, I'm nice on the chordboard. You know.
Yeah.
You know, my backspin is nice. You know.
Yeah.
My
You
up
talking
rock,
about b-boying?
I'm straight up.
Oh man, you get
straight
down.
up. You
Hell
know.
yeah.
And as quiet as kept, we're looking at bringing that into the Olympics. They still having the talks of 2024.
Really?
Yes.
I heard there's like new sports they're trying to incorporate. into
Yeah,
Olympics.
man. So that would be amazing for the culture.
Stupid
you know,
amazing. Hell
because
that's the first hip hop sport in actual professional commercial content.
How much of that we took from gymnastics? Like I love the floor exercise. I taught myself how to do a backflip when I was young. You know, as a part of b-boying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So having that, so I am a part of that culture. You know, was a backpack rapper. And the whole reason of that is because they locked up our lockers, man. That was my generation. When I was in high school, my first year, we had lockers. My sophomore year, they locked it up because of contraband. So that went across the board, nationwide. That's why everybody's walking backpacks.
Yeah.
If I was smart, when I left high school, I would have got stock in Jan Sport. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
But,
that should have been some high
you know,
stock.
so, and then being in high school and sitting, watching Ice-T in interviews, you know, being mentored by Donald D. And he the one that taught me how to write in bars, and seeing that he went to Europe. This cat nowadays, Donald D. is still doing his hip hop thing. He was one of the most sampled individuals at the time. His group, the B-Boys, he had the song Break. 1, 2, break. Everybody was sampling it. He went to Europe and he was able to feed his family because of hip hop, where in America, we always want what's next.
Yeah.
Oh, what you got next? What you got next?
Yeah.
Where in those other countries, they into the culture, you know. So B-Boys was still alive.
Yeah.
Where in 92, if you was trying to break, man, come on, what are you doing? What are you doing? Really?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, it should
we have
evolutionize this.
to, we have to understand the culture too. You know, we have to embrace the culture
Yeah.
ourselves.
Very
you know,
true.
so
I think that's happening now in America too. Like America's obviously evolving to hip hop being the main brand. I mean, not brand, but genre. Because there used to be a time when rock was like the shit for the commercialized.
Right, I feel you.
And it wasn't my personal favorite, but I knew that a lot of people would prefer to hear, you know, Limp Bizkit or like, you know, what's the Panic of the Disco or one of these rock bands, as opposed to like, well, who was on it? That like 50 Cent or DMX, you know, people that were that were hot at that time. Now it's like you got Migos at the Nickelodeon Awards. You got, you know, you see Bad Bunny in the Latino genre reggaeton at the Super Bowl. You know, the culture period, because that branches off too. Because hip hop, reggaeton is a branch of hip hop, because that's like, obviously in Puerto Rico, for example, like I just came from, I met a lot of different hip hop artists, reggaeton, that were doing English music and reggaeton. And it was so interesting just to see how they consumed the culture in America and they made it into their own thing.
Right.
And just like learning the history, because who's one reggaeton artist you think that's like, okay, that's like their OG?
Daddy Yankee.
And that's like the main person, right? But I learned that Daddy Yankee was the first one to pave the way to get in, but he wasn't the first one to create it.
Got you.
I forgot. I don't want to say his name wrong. I'm not going to try to say it, but there was a person that was a hip hop artist that really started it. Doing,
it wasn't Calderon, right?
It might have been. I think
the fro?
I might be wrong, but I just remember in the interview he mentioned that Daddy Yankee wasn't the first one, but Daddy Yankee was the one to break in.
Right.
And now you see Bad Bunny right now in this time and era, he's taking it to a whole other level. He's featured on Jimmy Kimmel. He was at the Super Bowl performance. He played at the NBA All-Star game. Like, that's pretty big. And as Latinos, we take pride in that, because we're just like, oh, you know,
you should.
We see our peoples making our way up into the rankings when it comes to the culture. So that's cool. I like that. I love just to see hip hop now, you know, being a profitable business. You see all these music labels, you know, bad in the bad essence, like people are getting fucked over because they don't understand the politics of business when it comes to that. But when you see the general perspective of hip hop, it's at the top of the forefront.
Well, you know, it's so interesting. Like being in spoken word for the longest time, it's like having a crystal ball. You know what I'm saying? Where even the problems with the record companies nowadays, all you got to do is study what they were doing in the old days, and take this technology, and push it forward.
You know, Master P, E40.
push it forward because you can make it happen. Like your generation has the accessibility that we didn't have. So don't make the same mistakes. Don't fall into these 360 deals. You know what I'm saying? Own your own, push your own, and know that you don't need that same distribution that we did because the platforms are so open.
Oh, they're so open, and they're constantly evolving.
Right.
E40 said, history repeats itself, but opportunities don't. And I think it comes parallel to what you just said about getting education from what had happened. I think the best person to highlight that did that was Nipsey Hussle.
Word.
Are you familiar with Nipsey Hussle and his
definitely.
music? So like Nipsey Hussle, you know, man, legend. Just seeing how his upbringing, his music, and what he had did to the culture. He only had one album, but he had shitload of mixtapes.
Right. And remember his marketing platform with that album?
Oh man, it was crazy. Like he had geo fencing in his real estate where he had his business, and people would go there, and they had the Marathon clothing app. And if they had it, you can like scroll past like barcodes on clothing, and you can get exclusive content through the app that you can't get on YouTube or anything like that. So that was like some really innovative thinking because he was using, you know, Silicon Valley developers and things within that nature and incorporating it into his hip hop, you know, campaign.
Right.
And he was, I don't know if you heard about the story where he was launching the Crenshaw mixtape, and he was going to 4 cities. I think it was Texas, New York, Bay Area, and LA, and he sold each mixtape for $100. And he had a pop-up shop, and basically this was a pop-up shop before the launch of the album, and they said you could get this exclusive tape for a $100 mixtape copy, and he did the math. He's like, okay, if I could sell 10,000 units within a span of this time period and sell them each I can make 100,000. And I think that's what I think it was more than that. I think he made like, you know, it says but the thing is though, the way he thought like an entrepreneur, he was just like, you know, connecting the dots and leveraging his Nipsey Hussle brand. And that's where I feel like that's where the friction is right now when it comes to business and marketing is that, I mean, marketing is a part of business, but I'm saying like the process of having a brand and then having the thing that's your product. Right. When you have a product that's like good, most of the time people will be able to know the difference between if it's bad quality or good quality. But if you got a good brand, you don't need to sell anything. The brand sells itself. Right. You're familiar with Supreme?
Yes.
Supreme started as a skater brand. They were selling their pieces for like $25, $30 at a time period. And now their resale value is like 1,000% profit.
Well, let's look at Champ. I'm tripping off of that.
Oh, Champ's making a comeback.
I'm like,
Champion, yep.
For real? Now they turned around and said, you know what? We are the brand.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, that's facts. And
I'm not mad at you.
So, you know, just to kind of highlight that topic you just said is that people in this culture, whether they have already been in it or they're up and coming in the process, take a look into the history, man. The information is there. Yes. It's all there. Take a look at it because a lot of people have made dramatic changes and small tweaks for big results. And I think just having this conversation right now really enables that thought. Because I think right now we live in a time period where you can access so much information through Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. This is just social media. I'm not including blogs. I'm not including Google searches, YouTube. I'm not including textbook. Like there's so much information anywhere. It's all accessible at the palm of your hands if you got unlimited data. Metro is like $30 a month. I don't know who don't got unlimited at this point. But you know what I'm saying though. It's accessible. It really comes down to your work ethic. And then now our society has like low key gotten soft like when it comes to like you know, going outside of your comfort zone. Because I think it's really easy to go along the whole traditional route, go to school, get a job, and make mom and dad happy because you got the degree, and then just live your life miserable. Because I think, I'm going to be honest, like when I was going to school, that's what I saw. Right. I feel like nobody saw what I saw.
But you know it's so crazy. Okay, so real quick on my story. So I'm in high school. I see all of these individuals. Yeah. I'm already understanding the rap game and from the inside. Yeah. So my senior year, I'm thinking about college, but I'm feeling that I'm not ready. Yeah. So I drop out. Last semester, my senior year. Who does that?
In college or?
In high school.
Oh, in high school. Oh,
high school. I got a job at the bank. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what else do I need? So when it's time for me to finally go to school, because I've been studying on my own, going to used bookstores, reading, now I'm going to school with a whole different mindset.
Yeah.
This young poet, this young writer to school. So my degree, I got my BA in psychology. Mm-hmm. Like, what better MC do you get?
Oh, yeah, period.
From an individual studying psychology.
No, that's real.
You know,
that's
so I don't
real.
believe in a plan A and plan B. It's all one plan.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't believe in being a starving artist. So I have a 9-to-5.
Yeah.
And my 9-to-5 is helping young people figure out how to make school affordable. Now, what you do, this is an education. It's your education.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, well, what do you do with this time? Build, go to school, learn. You know, no one says you have to go full time.
Yeah.
But if you have somebody that you can bounce things off of, because a teacher versus a professor is totally different.
A very big
difference.
Yep.
And I talked to my son about that. High school, as a young black male, a young male of color, you might feel like they're not there for me. They ain't got that time.
Yeah.
When you get to college, they spend money. They have programs that have to make sure that you get through.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a different world. But you have to change your mindset too.
Agreed.
To recognize that it's your education now.
You gotta grow.
You're not doing this for your parents or anybody else.
It's all for you.
And you can still network. You can still build your own brands. You can still do all of these things while going to school. It's not be an entrepreneur or go to school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You could take the long road.
Yeah.
I didn't go back to school until I was 30.
Yeah.
So if you're only taking 2 classes and you're 25 years old, this is your education. Trust me, time is going to keep going by.
Yeah.
Keep going by. And each year you start counting, oh, I could have graduated then. I could have graduated. But as long as you taking a class, you know what I'm saying? Community college, there's 114 community colleges in the state of California. There is a thing called the California Promise Grant, you know, where the first 2 years are damn near free.
Damn.
So
what's stopping you?
It really is.
What's stopping
And nobody's telling you that you have to major in this or that.
Yeah.
You
true.
choose. You decide. And at that price point, you can figure it out. In the meantime, oh, maybe I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. Like, dude.
Yeah.
It's there.
I think the realities for some people is that we lack guidance. You know, I could say that from my section where I grew up, is that I knew a lot of talented people. I knew a lot of people that had so much potential to just be great NFL athletes, academic achievers, you know, whatever.
Right.
But, you know, there was always these circumstances that just made you look and you'd be like, it makes sense. Like, they don't have anyone telling them like, hey, you know, and that's the thing too, is like, speaking as a first generation American,
right?
You know, my family, they come from Nicaragua, and they came here. My dad came here, was 18 years old. His life was like, I can't even imagine what he had to deal with, you know, like dealing with all these, going from visa, getting your visa, leaving a war that was a civil war, and they had a draft, and all my uncles are getting drafted to the war, and they're fighting their own people for soil that's not even theirs. It's like, you know, it's deep. And coming to, you know, being a first generation American, I'm growing up hip hop. I'm growing up, you know, like a kid in the hood, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. But the point is, like, they don't relate, because they're like, bro, I just came out of a war. Like, you over here bullshitting. You know,
you're in the promised land.
Yeah, you're in the
we
promised
came here
land
for a reason.
And, you know, once you get educated as you get older, you kind of have that perspective. But, you know, a lot of like Latinos and blacks, like, I feel like we relate the most. Like, we're the ones that are most oppressed in certain, you know, structures and most institutions. You know, whether you're working in corporate world, you know, there's a lack of minorities in the corporate world. I sell software sales, and I noticed that there's a lack of color in certain companies, and it's really hard to be yourself, because it's, I think one of my mentors, he called it the there's like a term when you don't it's like a term when you don't see people that look like you. So they struggle, they suffer from, I forgot what it was called. I forgot the term, but the point is, like, if you don't see people that look like you, it's kind of hard for you to really strive to be the best.
Right.
So where I'm going with this is, like, with the education aspect, is that, you know, I'm sorry, what? Imposter syndrome. There you go. Imposter syndrome. Thank you so much for that. Shout out to Marty. Imposter syndrome. Yes. And that's real. I feel like I relate with that, because, like, this is my first 10 months working in software sales. And, you know, I had to be the best version of a Latino that don't have a college degree to get
Right.
into software sales.
Right.
And, you know, not everyone even has the opportunity to begin with.
Right.
So.
Well, you know what? And to speak on that,
Yeah.
right? It's interesting because we're talking about being in that promised land and seeing it. That imposter syndrome, it's thinking from their perspective. I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah.
To be honest, like I said, hip hop
Yep.
is my core.
Yeah.
And hip hop created something out of nothing. It's an autodidactic practice. And that means self-taught.
Hell
So
yeah.
if you're self-taught, you don't always see someone doing it before you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Period.
So I'm like, fuck that. Just because you don't see it, don't mean I'm going to stop.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
sure enough, there's so much stuff that I've done and will continue to do that other people don't see and understand.
Yeah.
I'm 48 years old,
Yep.
but I'm nice with the mic device word to
yeah.
Christ. You know what I'm saying?
Period.
Like, because you can't see it, don't
Yeah.
mean it don't exist.
Oh, that's real.
You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of things
So,
we don't see that exist.
one of the greatest things for the young generation, not only is the fact that you guys are the future, that means that we can't even see it.
Yeah, that's
But
real.
you are it, and
Yep.
you're in that promised land. And so it's like, really just recognize that you're there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest thing. And you're only as young as you feel.
Yeah.
You know, my grandfather died at 93 last year. So I got a long ways to go. And without looking at the mirror, one, I don't remember I got gray hairs. And two, I feel I got the spirit of a 16-year-old.
Hell yeah. I
You
can
know?
feel it.
So just go out there. Be that. My generation, we talked about thinking outside the box. I don't hear that no more.
Yeah.
Because the box is broken.
Yeah.
Don't let them build walls back
Yeah.
up.
Yep.
That box is gone. Just like the whole industry, it imploded on itself. It's gone.
Yeah.
You don't even need to run to Warner Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Sony. Who am I talking about? Do
Yeah.
they even exist?
Oh,
You know,
nah.
and that you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point.
We now are outside that. You guys are in that promised land. And be. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's like, if you want to study something, you're only studying because I want to be able to bounce ideas off of multiple people's heads.
Yeah.
You know? Education is all around us. You know, like you mentioned, all of these wonderful platforms. You know, I had encyclopedias where now, beyond Wikipedia, we have all of this information.
Yeah.
Let us not limit ourselves.
Oh, never.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's what, I appreciate your platform. I can look back and see you as a young man and go, I heard you and I see you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I heard everything you said and now I see those same things.
Yep.
You know, that's what it's about.
And that's super crazy that you say that, because you are probably one of few people that can actually say that. Because I expressed to you from top to bottom of like what I saw myself and what I visioned the brand or what I was trying to accomplish long term, you know.
Word.
Especially telling that to academic professors and people in that realm. I don't think I told you about this, but when I was on campus at a vendor stand, one of the people that worked in the building right across the way, he came up to me and he was just going through my stuff, like, you know, giving like this energy was like, like, you know, he's just looking at it.
Right.
I was like, oh, you know, I'm passionate. I'm like, oh, you know, check this out. We got urban ascending fashion brands from San Jose, LA, blah, blah, blah. And he's all like, what do you do? And I'm just like, I do this. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm trying to get my business off the ground. And he's like, nah, man, that's not where it's at. Like, you got to be in class, you know, you got to be getting your books right, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know, I totally respect your point of view.
Right.
I was just like, but honestly, for me personally, I just know this is what I want to do.
Word.
And, you know, he was obviously kind of bitter based on my reaction, because there was no it wasn't like dialogue, like we were being aggressive towards each other.
Right.
But I could see his bitterness towards my answer. But, you know, I used to work at Sprint. I used to deal with rejection every single day. I would shake people's hands from left to right all over the mall, all types of walks of life. So rejection was nothing to me, you know? So when people always gave me this negative energy towards my vision, what I wanted to accomplish, I just said, fuck it. You know, I'm radical. Like, I don't really give a fuck. Because honestly, like, when it comes to my upbringing, like, when I first met Marty and Luis, like, they've seen my content for prior hand. I've just kind of always kept this same energy, you know?
Yes.
And if the energy wasn't there, it's because, you know, life happens. You know, bullshit happens. happens. You know, you deal with your life struggles. But the point is, like, when you deal with it, you got to deal with it face on. Go through what you got to go through and then get back up and keep going.
Right.
Because I think having that mentality, it's allowed me to keep elevated. Like, no one can, anyone could call me whatever they want to call me. They can say what they want to say, but they can never say that I won't hustle for my shit. They can never say I ain't going to bounce back. They can never, ever say that. I know that for a fact.
It's like, just watch me, because I have.
Oh,
and
period.
that's all you can see. That's all you see.
And it just feels like growth, you know, because I feel like as everything has progressed, a lot, I feel like the respect has progressed too. Like people that had used to talk to me, didn't talk to me a certain way, now they talk to me a different way. Right. But I still treat them the same way. You know, I'm not the type of person where. Did you watch cartoons growing up?
Yes, I did.
What was one of your favorite cartoons?
Whew, man, oh, Captain Caveman.
Captain Caveman.
Captain Caveman. No.
I never heard of that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no.
I have to Google that one.
And then Thundercats for sure.
Thundercats was the shit.
Panthro is the motherfucking
Thundercats is the shit. My brother's 10 years older than me.
Gotcha.
He used to fuck with Thundercats and he used to put me on. I remember that. I used to like Rocket Power too. But one of the cartoons that I used to watch religiously was Dragon Ball Z. Have you heard Dragon Ball Z
I've
before?
heard of them. Yes.
Okay, Dragon Ball Z is like an anime from like Japan or something, and it came to the US and just blew. But the main character, his name is Goku, and he's like from a planet from God knows where, comes to the Earth, and he's like human and all that, but he's supposed to be like this evil human being that's the most powerful person in the universe. Okay. Right? But the thing about him is that he got hit on his head when he came, so he lost all that evil without knowing. Okay. He became, and then the person that took him in, he just like he was homeless. He wasn't homeless, but the baby was like homeless because he was like, oh shit, random baby, like I'm gonna take care of you. And he was just like this loving person, super loving. So when he grew up, he was still super strong and super like incredibly, powerful. But he was the most genuine, most nicest human being. And what I liked about the character in the whole series is that people would go break their necks trying to like kill this guy or even, throw him off his game, like, hurt people around him. But his energy was so like, it was like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it was like, you know what, bro, it's all good. Like, I love you. It's all good. We're going to get through it. And I feel like having that in my ears when I was growing up really kind of like influenced me in a certain way.
I see that. I can see how that
I've been
works.
fucked over many times in my life when it comes to business, when it comes to, just, exchange of words and certain things in that nature. But when it happened, I had two ways to go about it. I could have been like, you know what, where I'm from, we handle things a little different. It could have been a different way. Right. But my heart, my intuition told me like, you know what, one of the things I want to have in my life is like respect and just genuine energy. So like, no one can ever say like I was this petty or person that was negative or had hate. Because I feel like there was a time period where I did have hate in my heart, and that changed my whole character. That changed my whole persona. Like, I just didn't feel the same. And the moment I took the time to forgive and lead with love, I felt that energy come back. Right. And now I'm here. Right. So, you know, I think, like, it's also really important to touch on when you're young, like when you're a kid, what you're consuming, you know? And that's why parents is a reflection of the child. So, you know, shout out to all the parents out there. But yeah, we were kind of going on a spiel right now. We're just going in right now. So today, you have the open mic at the Anza College.
Yeah, first Thursday.
This probably won't come out until after, unfortunately. But this doesn't mean that we can't promote the next one coming out. Word. So let the people know, you know, how could they sign up or who can sign up, and what walks of life come through there, and you know, should they feel okay to come through or? Yes.
So first Thursdays happens every first Thursday of the month. Typically in April, if they're on break, we have a little issue with the April one. So definitely May and June, first Thursday of the month. You can find me through my Instagram, Mctate2. You can click onto my website. I'll have the dates up. So check it out. First Thursday, everybody is welcome. Everybody is welcome. No matter what your skill set is, this is what it's all about. It's about giving you a microphone and practicing your craft. You know, this is a place for young comedians. If you're trying out material, try out your material. We just ask everybody to just be respectful. But other than that, there's no censorship. It's really about the art. Raw. You can't censor art. Can't. MCs, spoken word artists, poets, singers, songwriters, musicians. Everybody's welcome. We have from high schoolers, you guys are welcome. This is why we do it there, so that you guys can be around college individuals, ask questions, find out more information. Also, we get people from the community come out and participate. So, I mean, folks at 70 years old come out. So it's a great place, great space, the UFRAT Museum on Anza College's campus from 5 to 7, first Thursdays of every month.
And that's in Cupertino, California. It's off of 87, getting off Stevens Creek.
Yes.
Make sure you slide through over there. Check it out. I went over there one time, and I had a chance to express Emlyn and what I was trying to do in division. I didn't even know what I want to do, but I knew I had something to let out. So you got the energy inside you. You got something to deliver. You got some lyrics that you want to spit. You got some spoken word that you want to deliver. This is my man's right here.
Yes.
This is the guy to go to.
Yes, indeed.
So I think the last thing I want to ask you is more kind of like the technology aspect of Silicon Valley.
Okay.
Because we live out here.
Yes.
A lot of people are trying to move out here. People are moving out here. And there's a lot of opportunity out here. I thought when I was in college that in order for me to break into that industry that I needed the degree to get in. But now Google and Apple, I think a year ago, announced that they don't care about degrees and they just care about the skills.
Right.
So as an educator from Anza College, or is it Anza or Evergreen?
I work at Evergreen now.
Okay. But
I also work at both. I work at both campuses technically. Yes.
Got you. So when it comes to community colleges, those are the main colleges people in San Jose go to primarily. So what's your input towards that in the path of technology? Because that is the leading industry in America right now.
What I'm going to tell you is what they're also looking for in that, because that was the first thing they were looking for. It wasn't about the college degree. Because back in the day, we got to understand when this technology was coming up, we came out here, both my parents from the East Coast. I was born in Mountain View. Why? Because my father was in the Air Force. So he was a programmer. So early days, satellites. So everything our phone was doing is what the U.S. military was doing. So what they're looking for is what we don't think about much and we need to focus in on more is emotional intelligence. So please understand that. So it's the emotional intelligence. It's your ability to read environments, read people, and work with a group is what they're looking for. They want people because they have teams. You know, each project, they have a team. You might be working with one team for one project, another team for another. And if you're able to work with a team, that's what they need. They don't just need individuals that's going to compute and do all these things in a silo. We know it doesn't work that way. You work as a team. So that's what they're looking for. So understand that. And for my young brothers, understand that growing up in inner cities, you have emotional intelligence. You know what blocks to walk down.
Oh, for sure.
You know what clothes to wear when you're walking down, what blocks. So please don't misconstrue or think that you don't have intelligence. We know you do, and you know you do.
Yep.
So recognize that, and that's what they're calling emotional intelligence. And that's what people are looking for. This is that new wave that they're starting to understand is emotional intelligence. It goes across the board. So this is what they're looking for. And when you go to school, it's about you getting the education. Just like you can talk with your grandmother and she educates you on stuff, or you can tap into this podcast and on the low key, get educated.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is what it's about. So education doesn't just happen in an institution. And trust me, just because you got a degree don't mean that you're educated either. Okay? So make sure that you get an education. Okay? Make sure that your education counts. And that's what it's about. You can get started. I mean, if you're at home programming on your own, I get fascinated when my young son, puts together a computer on his own or creates a joystick, goes to Amazon and get all the equipment and put it all together. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they're looking for. And that's why I raised my kids up here, so that they can be around all of these different cultures, so they can go wherever they need to go and not be afraid and know their worth, and that they can communicate with anybody.
Bay Area has so much culture, just so people that don't know. And I'm glad you touched on emotional intelligence. Another way, like, that's something I really led with too, because I feel like I had a lot of street smart and book smart. I think there's two different versions of smart.
Right.
Like education, book smart, and then street smart. Because I would always tell my homies that we're street smart. I'm like, bro, you guys, like, you're smart. Like, you see things before they happen. And I'm like, I think you need to apply the energy you're giving to that, to this, and you could see how much more genius you could become.
Right.
I got friends that are from the hood. I'm like, bro, you're fucking intelligent.
Right.
Like, you don't even see it.
Right.
Like, I see it. I'm like, you don't even see it within yourself yet. You know, and that's the struggle people deal with every day. And to touch on what you said about information, have you heard of an artist named Rex Life Raj?
No.
Okay, you should check him out. I think you would really, really like him because he like sings and raps, so he's cool.
Okay.
But there's a bar that he says that I think goes hand in hand what you said about information and technology. He says on his verse, he says, short-sighted and now his ass forgot about longevity. Know that it's dominoes. All money ain't good money. You can't expect it to grow, bro. If you ain't never understand money, that's basic knowledge. YouTube University, I've seen them all level up and never pay for college. Word. And I thought that shit was powerful. Because he makes it fact. Because all the shit I've learned is through YouTube, Google, and basic books. Right. You know, obviously, back in the day when we were younger, we didn't have the best habits when it come to getting information. You know, I used to steal books back in the day. I don't do that no more. But, you know, whatever I had to do to get that information, I was willing to do. Now YouTube just makes it free, accessible. Right. So that bar was powerful.
Right. And your man Nipsey Hussle too. Yeah. He really pushed something that people need to recognize is audiobooks. That's gathering information. That too is reading.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
So I'm gonna tell you this too. What you need to understand is when you're taking notes on something, if you listen to an audiobook, the notes that you're taking based on the thoughts that's coming in your head because they're so fast, that's what real note taking is about. So don't let nobody tell you that, oh, just because you're listening to audiobooks, you're really not reading. I'm sorry. What is reading anyway? It's what somebody wrote down, and then you reading it to have this mental conversation with them in your head. That's what the audiobook is. So gather that information. However, you know, I learned this one time because I used to do the Comedy Store back in the day as part of my spoken word. And Eddie Griffin used to say in one of his sets, you know, he would say, it's not the messenger, it's the message. So many times you can run into a homeless man, you can run into whomever, and if somebody drops knowledge on you, don't judge that knowledge based on who's giving it to you. It's the message, not the messenger. So
well said. I think I'm gonna leave it at that. That was very powerful. Well, just to conclude this podcast, is there any last minute things that you want to tell the audience on where to find you, how to access you, or if they have any questions, how to reach out to you?
Word. Instagram. Hit me on Instagram. Through there, you can get to my my website. So check me out, Mctate 2 on Instagram. All things right there. I'm loving that platform. You can find me.
And that's at MCTAT2.
Yeah, MCTATE 2.
On IG.
On IG.
And the website?
Oh, the website. I'm still putting the domain together. Okay. But they'll find the link.
Just follow him.
Yes.
Just follow him, and that's all you
get
need.
To my website.
DM him. I guarantee a person. Yes. I do appreciate you taking the time to come through
most
here.
Definitely, man.
This won't be the last time. I usually like to do little yearly recaps.
Oh, that's awesome.
Once we touch base later in the future. But yeah, man. So hopefully people on the iTunes found some value in this conversation. Continue listening to the Low Key Facts podcast as we continue to connect and bridge the culture to society. And with that being said, it ain't exclusive. If it ain't an Emlyn exclusive, it's your boy BQ, Senor Mctate, and we out.
Peace.
Oh,
that's a wrap.
How did that feel?
I felt great, man.